deal with airplane peanuts.
I want to talk about ChatGPT.
You may have heard of ChatGPT. It's a popular online chatbot which is powered by artificial intelligence.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
The revolutionary new language model developed by OpenAI.
Have you experimented with it at all?
I have not.
Basically, AI is replacing human function. Even shows like this will be replaced by some type of chatbot, some type of angry Irish AI.
The artificial intelligence program ChatGPT has been hot in the streets as of late. Many people are already using the free AI chatbot to do research and write essays, and some even fear that ChatGPT could replace the need for human beings to be working a lot of jobs in the near future, which got me thinking, could artificial intelligence ever take the place of comedians? In today's video, I'll be feeding ChatGPT a series of prompts from some of our favorite comedians, asking the artificial intelligence program to rewrite jokes in that comedic style. Now, for this to fully work, it's important to pick 3 comics that have unique and distinct voices, so today we'll be focusing in on AI replicating Joey Diaz, Bobby Lee, and of course, Theo Von. First up, we got Bobby Lee. All right, let's see what happens. I'm just gonna type in, tell me a joke in the style of comedian Bobby Lee.
Sure, here's a joke in the style of Bobby Lee. So, I was at the airport the other day, right? And I saw a sign that said, airport security. And I'm like, security? More like scared ID. I mean, I've had better security from a screen door. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that was pretty random. I guess it's something Bobby might say. I don't really know. I think this might work better if we get specific and ask ChatGPT to tell us exact stories in the style of Bobby Lee. I'm going to type in, tell me a funny story in the comedic styling of Bobby Lee about Bobby wanting his ex-girlfriend to move out of his house.
Okay, here's the story. Bobby Lee was living with his girlfriend, but things just weren't working out. He was ready for her to move out, but she wasn't budging. Every time he brought up the subject, she had an excuse. One day, Bobby had enough and decided to get creative. He dressed up as a ghost and started making spooky noises and knocking over pictures in the house. His girlfriend was so scared that she finally agreed to move out. However, a few days later, his girlfriend returned, moving all her things back in and declaring that she wasn't afraid of a silly ghost. Bobby was back to square one, but he didn't have a good story to tell on stage. He regaled the audience with his failed ghost stunt, which had everyone in stitches. Bobby proved that even when things aren't going your way, a sense of humor can always save the day.
I can see Bobby saying that. That was pretty good. I think the key here is going to be to ask it stories. So moving on to Joey Diaz, we're learning a little bit about how this program works. Next up, we got Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz, Facebook, Twitter, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Big dicks in your ass. Bad for your health.
I already have a feeling ChatGPT is going to have a hard time with this one. Not even artificial intelligence could come up with some of the vulgar shit that's going on in between Joey Diaz's ears. We got to get specific though. We learned that. Let's go. Tell me a story from the point of view of Joey Diaz, POV, talking to Joe Rogan on his podcast about living in Boulder, Colorado, and getting into some trouble.
Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz are sitting down for a conversation on Joe's podcast. Joe, hey Joey, great to have you here today. I heard you recently spent some time in Boulder, Colorado. How was that experience for you? Joey, hey Joe, great to see you too. Yeah, I went to Boulder for a vacation, but things definitely didn't go as planned. Joe, really? What happened? Joey, well, first of all, let me tell you about the drivers in Boulder. They're like nothing I've ever seen before. They park on the sidewalks and ride their bikes on the freeway. It's crazy. Joe, that sounds intense. So what kind of trouble did you get into while you were there? Joey, so I went to a dispensary to buy some weed and I think they must have put something extra in there because it was a wild ride. I started seeing bright colors and lights everywhere and I needed to clear my head, so I went for a walk and ended up at a drum circle in the park. Joe, that sounds like a wild experience. Joey, yeah, it was. I started playing the drums and before I knew it, I was leading a parade down the street. People were following me and dancing. It was just the craziest thing. Joe, I bet you were having the time of your life. Joey, oh for sure, I'll never forget that day. But let's just say, I learned my lesson and stayed away from the dispensaries for the rest of my stay in Boulder. Joe laughs. I can understand that. Joey, it's always a great time having you on the show and hearing your crazy stories.
Dude, this is so funny because that actually sounded like stuff Joey Diaz might say on the Joe Rogan Experience. It's just like one step off. Like it's just still a little bit robotic, but it's closer than I really expected, honestly. It also just needs to end every sentence saying Joe Rogan, and then it'd definitely be just like Joey Diaz. I'd say it's better at Uncle Joey than it is at Bobby Lee so far, but now it's time for ChatGPT's ultimate test. Can it replicate the most unique brain in all of comedy, Theo Von?
Thanksgiving, son!
I feel like I'm slowly getting the hang of how to use this thing throughout the course of this video. Definitely you have to be more specific in the prompts if you want a better response. So to wrap this up, let's ask it 3 questions about Theo Von's life, and we'll be real specific with things that we've heard him say on his podcast before. Start off, tell me a funny story in the comedic stylings of Theo Von about growing up in the South and wetting the bed.
All right, here's a story in the comedic styling of Theo Von about growing up in the South and wetting the bed. So, I grew up down in the South, and let me tell you, it was a different time. We didn't have fancy things like waterproof mattresses or those plastic mattress protectors. We just had a good old-fashioned cotton sheet. And being a Southern boy, I was raised to always wear my big boy pants, you know what I mean? So when I hit the age of 9 or 10, I was already pretty damn confident. But then, one night, I had a little accident. I woke up in a puddle of my own making, and let me tell you, it was a humbling experience. But you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make sweet tea, and that's exactly what I did. I got up, changed my sheets, and poured myself a big glass of sweet tea. And you know what? I was back in my big boy pants in no time. From that day on, I learned that accidents happen, but it's how you handle them that defines you as a person. And let me tell you, I've been handling those bedwetting accidents with a big old glass of sweet tea ever since.
Dude, this is really good. That one was fucking perfect. All right, what should we do next? Tell me a funny story in the comedic stylings of Theo Von about being a kid in the South trying to sell tattooed hamsters to people after they attended concerts.
All right, here's a story in the comedic styling of Theo Von about being a kid growing up in the South and trying to sell tattooed hamsters to people as they left a concert. So, I was this kid growing up in the South, always on the lookout for a good hustle. And one day, I heard that a big concert was coming to town. I knew this was my chance to make some real money. So, I hatched a plan. I got a hold of some hamsters, and with the help of my cousin, who was an amateur tattoo artist, I started tattooing these little critters with all sorts of designs. I mean, who would want a hamster with a tattoo of their favorite band, right? So, the day of the concert arrives, and I set up shop outside the venue. And let me tell you, I was getting some serious interest. People were actually stopping to take a look at these little tattooed hamsters. But then, something unexpected happened. One of the hamsters managed to escape and ran right onto the stage during the concert. The crowd went wild, and before I knew it, the hamster had become a star. I quickly realized that I had made a grave mistake. These hamsters were worth way more as concert performers than they were as pets or critters. So, I shut down my stand and became the manager for these little tattooed hamsters. We went on tour, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. I never made it big in the music business, but those hamsters sure did. And I always look back on that crazy day outside the concert venue with a smile on my face. It just goes to show you that sometimes the most unexpected things can lead to the biggest opportunities.
This is so good, dude. He uses like man, and like if you think about it in his voice instead of like a robot voice, this is insane. This is kind of creepy, honestly. All right, last one. Let's see. Create a fake conversation between comedians Theo Von and Bobby Lee that takes place on Theo's podcast this past weekend. Make the conversation funny and about Bobby not having much luck on the dating apps.
Theo Von, welcome to the show, Bobby. It's great to have you here today. Bobby Lee, thanks for having me. Theo, I'm always down for a good time on your podcast. Theo Von, so, Bobby, I hear you've been having a rough go on the dating apps lately. What's been going on, Bobby Lee? Yeah, man, it's been a disaster. I don't know what's happening, but I can't seem to get a match to save my life. Theo Von, that's rough, man. I hear you, but let's be real. Your picture on these apps is a little, well, let's just say it's not your best angle. Bobby Lee, hey now, that picture was taken on a good day. Theo Von laughs. All right. So, have you tried any new pickup lines on these apps, Bobby Lee? Oh yeah, I've tried everything. I've even tried sending pictures of my cat, but still no luck. Theo Von laughs. Your cat, huh? Well, that's a new one. Have you considered sending pictures of food instead? Bobby Lee, laughing. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try that next. Theo Von laughs. I think that's a solid plan, Bobby. You never know. You might find your soulmate on a dating app for foodies. Bobby Lee, laughing. Yeah, that would be a good one. Swipe right if you love sushi. Theo Von laughs. Exactly. You might just be onto something there, Bobby. Bobby Lee, laughing. Thanks, Theo. I'll give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe this will finally be my lucky break on these dating apps.
Okay, that one I honestly don't think was as good as the other 2 Theo ones we just did, but it's still creating a fake conversation that sounds kind of real about these 2 random people, Bobby and Theo. This is bizarre. Well, there you have it. If you don't think about how scary that is and how it's eventually going to lead to the demise of all of us, that was pretty fun. I had a good time doing this. We might have to make a part 2 to this video. Let me know in the comments what comedians you would like to see an AI version of in part 2. In general, I think the job of comedians is safe for now. It's not fully there. We'll still have podcasters for at least a few more years. But that is concerning, dude. I mean, if you don't think about how creepy and scary and frightening all this AI stuff is, it can be fun. This was a completely free website called ChatGPT. You can type that into your browser right now, have some fun with it yourself. Thank you for watching this video. We'll be back again Monday with the comedy news. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe and like and check out our second channel, Clip World, and have a great weekend. That's the most important part. Have a great weekend and enjoy life while you can, because the robots are coming for us.